It was a cold, rainy night when Daniel, a young truck driver, found himself navigating a desolate stretch of highway on his way home. The road was slick with rain, the glow of his headlights barely cutting through the thick mist that curled around the trees. He was exhausted, eager to get home, when his eyes caught a figure walking along the roadside. A young woman, soaked from head to toe, trudged forward with her head down, a small dog trotting faithfully beside her. She wore an old-fashioned dress that clung to her from the rain, her long hair dripping wet. Something about her, perhaps the way she carried herself as if weighed down by sadness, compelled Daniel to slow down. He pulled over and rolled down the window. "Hey, you need a ride?" he called out. The woman hesitated before nodding. As she approached, the dog gave a small shake, sending droplets of water flying. She climbed into the passenger seat, cradling the trembling dog in her lap. Her skin was cold and there was a distant look in her eyes, but when she spoke, her voice was soft and polite. "Thank you," she murmured. "I'm just trying to get home to my family." She gave him an address in a nearby town, and Daniel, feeling an odd sense of duty, drove her there in silence, the rhythmic sound of the rain filling the quiet. As they pulled up to an old house with dimly lit windows, she turned to him with a small, grateful smile. "You're very kind," she said, stepping out with her dog. Before he could respond, she shut the door and disappeared into the shadows of the front porch. The next morning, as Daniel cleaned out his truck, he noticed something glinting on the seat where the woman had sat, a delicate silver locket. Thinking she would surely want it back, he decided to return it to her. When he arrived at the house, he knocked on the door. An elderly woman answered, her expression kind but weary. "Ma'am, I think your daughter left this in my truck last night," Daniel said, holding out the locket. The woman's smile faltered. A shadow passed over her face, and her fingers trembled as she reached for the locket. She studied it for a long moment before looking up at him with eyes filled with something between sorrow and disbelief. "My daughter?" she whispered. "Yes, I picked her up last night on the road. She was walking in the rain with her dog. She said she was trying to get home." The woman's breath hitched. Slowly, she stepped aside and motioned for him to enter. Inside, the house was warm, but carried an air of nostalgia, filled with old photographs and memories. The woman led him to the living room, where she pointed to a framed portrait on the wall. Daniel's blood ran cold. It was the same girl he had picked up the night before. The same sad eyes, the same gentle features. But the photo was aged, the edges yellowed with time. "My daughter, Emily," the old woman said softly. "She died in a car accident on that very road, 30 years ago." Daniel's breath caught in his throat. He felt the weight of the locket in his palm, his skin suddenly prickling with goosebumps. Outside, the wind howled through the trees, and in the distance, the faint echo of a dog's bark sent a chill down his spine.